Good evening and welcome to our Facebook Live this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry I'm a minute or two late. Had a few technical issues this evening where Facebook wasn't talking to my webcam software and didn't want to go live, but we're here now. So good evening and welcome to you. My name is Jenny McCormack and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire in the UK. So good evening if you're joining us live in the UK. Obviously if you're joining us at any other time, whether live or on replay or anywhere else around the world, then good evening and welcome to you. If you have any queries or questions as we do our live this evening, don't hesitate to pop those in the comments section and I will keep an eye on those and answer any questions that you may have. This week our stamp set of the week is Happiness Abounds, and you can find this on page 109 of the annual catalogue. Hi Zana, hope you're well. And I will show you the cards that we've made so far. So we started on Tuesday and this was the card that we made live on Tuesday. So some stamping and colouring in. I used one of the dies for this little edge to make it look like it was torn out of a notebook. And this is just onto a note card, and I've stamped on the inside and stamped on the envelope and coloured that in. So that was on Tuesday. Let me just bring this light over a little bit. And then yesterday we created this card, and this was done by stamping onto some of the designer paper. So there's some fantastic papers that go with this. This is just one of the sheets, and you've got the flowers on one side, and then you've got like it's almost like an oil on canvas design on the reverse. And the colours of these vary on each page, as you can see. And so what I did for this card is I used that reverse side for the background, and then I stamped on elements of the paper to give the flower some texture. I did add a little bit of detail to colour it in because it looked a little bit wishy-washy on the colours that I'd chosen, and I wanted them to stand out against the background. I added the glossy dots that go with the suite itself, and the sentiment is from the same stamp set. Because it's our stamp set of the week, this is going to feature at our coffee and card tomorrow and Monday. I had to think about that. So tomorrow is Friday and we're in Brackley on a Friday. So this is going to be our design for coffee and card. And this consists of a white note card again, and then a coloured layer, which is cut slightly smaller, and then a strip of the white. So I've used a small panel of white, and these are two of the dies in the set, and you get these two different edges. You get this longer block edging, and then you get this little circular edging. And what I did on here was stamp the flowers in the background just in espresso, and then I've fussy cut the flowers from the papers and added those. Added a bit of leaf from our punch that punches out the two leaves that went with the Boughs and Blossom stamp set, and then added the sentiment on the top, and I did these at a little jaunty angle just for a change. And then I decorated the envelope to match. So this is going to be our design for coffee and card, and obviously you can choose different colours and different elements of the papers. So for today's card I'm going to do similar to that, but just slight variation, but I'm going to use some of the papers. So I happen to have got this is an old retired colour, but I happened to find it, which is Purple Posy, so I thought I'd use this up. Very pale lilac. I've got Highland Heather layer on top, and then I've selected this bit of paper from the Designer Series paper, and I'm probably going to use one of these. I might cut this down though, and then what we're going to do is cut from here. Excuse me. So these are really easy to fussy cut around, but the dies that go with the stamp set also match. So if you have dexterity issues or you just don't like fussy cutting, you can just cut these out with a pair of snips. This is what we're going to do this evening. So let's pop these two layers on first anyway. I'm just going to do these. Am I going to do these at a jaunty angle? I haven't got much to play with. Yes, maybe I will. Okay, so I hope you're well. It's been a funny old day here today. We've had sunshine, and then it's been, oh, there's not much in there. The sunshine, it's been overcast. We had a little drop of rain at one point. That was actually when I went to the post box, of course. Well, to the post office, I should say. That's typical, isn't it? Let's fold this so I can see where the card base is. So all of the Class in a Box parcels have been dispatched and are on their way. So if you're taking part this month, then have a look out for that arriving. So just make sure it's the right size to start with. Definitely wasn't a lot to play with. I hope it doesn't look like I just haven't put it on straight. But I'll know. Okay, see if there's a best way to put this. I think that probably is the way this is designed to go. So I think we'll end up with a landscape variation. So that's that, like that. Okay, and then we're going to pop this on. I might cut this down in a minute. I'll have a look and see. And let's cut out, I am going to cut it because I want to see more of these flowers. So I'm just going to cut out a couple of these here. And you can obviously cut out the leaves, and the dies cut out the leaves as well. Just going to take this little portion here. Like so. Okay, so I want to just pick out some of those colours from the papers. I need to take my glasses off though. So just quickly going to hop around here, and you can choose whether you want a little border around it or whether you want it cut close to. Entirely up to you. So I'm not being particularly accurate on my fussy cutting. There we go. So this one in. This has some lighter, very pale leaves behind it, petals behind, and it's up to you whether you include those when you fussy cut. I think it's one of those things that unless you knew they were there, you wouldn't actually miss them. Go, and I quite fancy having a little I've got a little yellow one to hand. No, of course not. Let's do another one of these. So the good thing is you can utilize these part cut ones. So this is one that's obviously on the edge of the paper, but don't discount those because you can use the edges and just tuck it in like so. Okay, so those are my flowers, and I'll keep these leaves, but I'm actually going to use the gold leaves today just to give it a little bit of interesting dimension. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use all of these, but it's fairly quick to cut them out. Even quicker if you've got the mini cut and emboss machine to hand. So I hope everybody's having a good week. Seems to have gone remarkably quickly. We had our free delivery offer on Tuesday. Okay, let's have a look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this at a jaunty angle, but I'm going to stamp my sentiments straight. I felt on this one that I got away with it, but really I would have preferred that friend straight. I stamped this first and then decided to do it at a jaunty angle. But it's one of those things, isn't it? Okay, let us, I think I'm going to trim this down just a little bit. Oh, I might tear it. How brave would that be? So this is just some thin basic white card. There we go, like so. So my flowers are going to be arranged in here somehow. Okay. Oops. And my little gold leaves. Okay, so I've left myself only a tiny little bit. So what I need is a very small sentiment, something like hello, and let me see. In our celebrating you, we've got a little thank you. Oh, this just for you actually would work perfectly. So this is from Charming Sentiments, one of the new sets, just for you. find a block and pop that in. So what I'm going to do is move those, and I'm going to actually temporarily stick this down, just adding a little bit of glue on the back. And then put our Just For You in this corner. I'm going to use early espresso. I could use Gorgeous Grape. There's a bit of early espresso in the centres of the flowers on the paper. So I'm going to go with that. Just want to stamp this off on a scrap though. Go. There we go. So we've got our Just For You in there, and that's fairly straight. Lift that off, and I think what I'm going to do, not that you're going to see much of it, is I'm just going to stamp around the edges a little. Let's pop a piece of paper underneath, just with that floral image, just because I like it. I could just use the leaves. Go like that. I'm going to stick with the early espresso though. I'm not going to introduce anything else. There is some green in here. There's granny apple green, so I'm just going to stamp these. Now these may not get seen in the slightest. They might be completely covered up by our flowers. There we go. I think that will do. Let's have a look and see. Right. So I can readjust that slightly and then add these flowers in. Yeah, so that works. You just see those tucked in. If I bring it up to the screen. Okay. So let's just add that detail. I'm just going to move this out of the way. Like so. While I'm here, I am going to stamp that lovely flower on the inside. This matches, but it's not exactly the same as the printed flowers. There we go. And let's add a few leaves. So there's two sets of leaves in here. There's one that's got just two, and then you've got these ones with 5. Just put my finger in the ink pad. Okay. So that's the inside of my card. Gotta love that stamped image. So I think what I'm going to do to work out which way around I should do these. That one, and then tuck that one in there. Okay. So stick this one down. I know my white panel isn't fully attached yet. So I'm sticking that down with glue just in the middle of the flower so that I can lift up the edges to tuck anything else in. And I might put this on dimensionals. And again, putting the dimensionals in the middle. There we go. Like that. I'd have the smaller one maybe. Yeah. So tuck that one in, and then I'll add in the gold leaves as well. So that's our base card. Hi Brenda, I hope you're well. This is just so easy to craft with. So I'm going to take the edge of that stalk off, just add a little bit of glue on there and tuck that in. So it's coming over the edge there. And then the same here. So as I said, this is a variation of what we're doing at Coffee and Card tomorrow and Monday. So it needs to go up here. Yeah, that will work, or even just under there. Okay, so just add a few dots. So this is really just using the papers. I have used the die for this top border, but you could recreate this really just with a torn piece of paper if you wanted. There we go. So there's our finished card. Now it looks a bit busy from there. It looks a bit better in real life, but hopefully, and those are the gold leaves that look dark on my screen, but hopefully you can see those shining. Now I could add some bling, but I think it probably doesn't need it. This is our Coffee and Card variation that we're going to do tomorrow. So just slightly simpler. It's a smaller card, and I haven't used the designer paper, just used some plain cards underneath, but have stamped the flowers under. So there we go. Very easy set of cards to make, and we have got our online class on Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to that, to see what everybody does with all of their different colours of flowers. So as I say, if you've subscribed to that for this month, then everything went out today. So you should receive that tomorrow. So there we are, fairly short and sweet for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me just bring that back up to the screen so you can see it in a bit more detail. There it is. And then the inside I've stamped with that lovely line art, and obviously that will also have a coordinating envelope, just like I have done here. Okay, that's my phone. It's time for me to go. Thank you so much. Bye for now.